Hi, welcome. In today's video, we are going to talk about the 5 documents that you want to collect if your loved one has had a diagnosis of dementia. So there might be times in the near future, or maybe it's already happened to you, where you are being asked to make some decisions to weigh in on, medical procedures, to start considering, helping out with paying bills or just the basic management of a household, or you might even be thinking about up-leveling care. So these 5 documents are some of the essential things to get you started, get you organized, and really help you out as things might progress with your loved one and how you care for them. So the first one, pretty simple, is to collect any form of ID, photo ID especially, that your loved one might have. So, first, let's talk about a driver's license. Whether it is a current one or not, it is still a photo document that's official, it's a government document. So, super important for you to have and to keep, right? And also, while you're locating that, you want to locate their social security card as well as any healthcare cards that they might have, whether that be, Medicare, whether that be their own health insurance that, they might be carrying. You want to collect and have all of those cards, and those numbers, membership numbers will become important to you. So once you collect them, you might for yourself want to either take like a picture of them with your phone or scan them in color, so that you have them. And if you can't scan them in color, that's fine. Get a photocopy at the local library, right? And you can have them. So a lot of times, if you find yourself in the emergency room, right? If you pull out the scan copies, oftentimes they will accept them because usually they're just verifying the identity of your loved one, right? So you want to collect those and have them someplace safe. Now you know where they are or where they should be kept, right? Okay, the next document that I want you to think about. Now, remember, we're not going to go into overwhelm here. I want you to, think of this as a process of getting these things together. So, the next one I want you to think about is the living will. So, you might have gone to the doctors yourself and they might have asked you, do you have a living will? And if you're like me, I say, like, no, I'm not old, except now I'm over 50. And now it's like, well, maybe I should be thinking about these things. Well, we definitely want to be thinking about these things with our loved one, especially while our loved one can still answer some of these questions for us. So, what is a living will? Well, it's just that. It is a legal document that explains what your loved one's wishes are while they are living. So, if you find yourself in an emergency situation where you might actually be in the emergency room and some decisions have to be made, you can count on this living will to help you, right? So, you're going to ask them questions, right? And collect the information about their wishes in medical situations that they might find themselves in. So there are legal documents that you can get online. Each state has their own, kind of form. So you can look under your state government and find a living will, print it out, go through the questions with your loved one and have them sign it. Then when you do go to your doctors, each doctor's visit you might have, whether it be a PA or not PA, I mean your regular doctor, whether it be a specialist like your heart doctor or lung doctor or whatever, you can take a copy of the living will and they'll keep it in their file so that they too can refer to it if you happen not to be with them when they need to look into their documents. Part of the living will is also the advance directives. And these are the things that we think about, or we don't like to think about, in all honesty, with advanced directives is, end of life care, or you're in such serious situation that we're talking about whether we want to resuscitate or not. Right. And so, really challenging conversation to have and to think about, but super important for us to get the answer from our loved one so that we can put it in the document. So when you are in a time of crisis and you're asked to make these decisions, you can feel confident in the decision that you're making because you've already had the conversation with your loved one. You already have the answer for what to do. Okay, so that is the living will. So the next one that I want you to be thinking about is power of attorney. Now, remember, once again, reminder here, we're not running around like, a mad person trying to collect all of this information at once. Or I don't want you thinking, oh, I don't have this. I don't know anything about this. I'm already behind. No, you're not. You're right where you need to be, and you're learning about this information before the time of crisis hits. That means you're being proactive. So are ahead of the game. So there are many types of power of attorney. There are like 6 or 7 types, but I just want to focus on 3 types here in this particular video. So as you are collecting the information, you want to think about medical power of attorney. And this is where you get the document from an attorney, and it allows you to make health decisions, medical decisions for your loved one if they are not in the proper mental state to make those decisions, like if they're unconscious, right? And or if they're in surgery, or whatever the reason is that they might not be able to make a sound judgment. We're talking about collecting these things because there has been a diagnosis of dementia, so they might not be in the sound mind on that particular day to make good decisions. So medical power of attorney extends you as the hand of your loved one to make those decisions and to sign those papers in their stead. The next one is the financial power of attorney. And this, of course, would help you pay the bills for your loved one, help you make other financial decisions, help you make sure their bank account or any investments that they might have are being taken care of and things are up to date. Now, fair warning here. If you have a medical power of attorney, that doesn't mean you have the financial power of attorney. And if you don't have financial power, if you do have financial power of attorney, that doesn't mean that you have medical power of attorney. To have both of them, it is called durable power of attorney. And you want to be very careful of how it is worded. So you need to be very clear with the attorney that you choose, explaining what type of control that you want to have, how you want to help your loved one. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, my brother or my sister helps out too, yes, you can have more than one person be a power of attorney, like a backup person. Right. So that's a conversation that you need to have with your family, and you need to have with your loved one of who they would like to have making decisions for you. Now, if this whole discussion of power of attorney, finances, medical decisions has sort of got your chest pounding a little bit because you know that your loved one is not open to talking about finances with you, I completely understand. Been there. This is what I want you to know. I have another video in this playlist that is called Having Hard Conversations, because talking about your future in medical ways or talking about finances for the future can be very hard for your loved one who's struggling to hang on to their independence. So I encourage you after this video to go and find the one that talks about having hard conversations and have a look at it. We're not going to get overwhelmed. We're going to have a look at it, right? And find more information. Okay, so speaking of finances, so here's the fourth type of paperwork that you want to be looking at, and that is the financial records. You generally want to know, where do they bank? Not because you're being nosy, but you need to know these things if you're going to help them out. What assets do they have? Do they have investments? Do they have additional properties? And if they do have investments, who holds that? What are the companies that they're working through? And if they have additional properties, well, where are those deeds? Where is the deed to the car, right? Or the second car, or the car that they've had forever and has been sitting in the driveway, right? So you need to start looking at those things, because if you decide to up level care, those assets might come into play. If you need to bring more care into the home, if you need to move to a facility, you're going to want to know a little bit about those financial things. Also, you want to make sure that there's no inappropriate activity happening while your loved one hasn't really been watching what's happening with the finances. I've had situations where older people use the checks in their checkbooks as if it's cash, and they just keep writing checks and writing checks, right? You want to make sure that everything is safe for your loved one. And as the having a financial power of attorney, that is for you to look into and to take care of for your loved one. Okay, lastly, is you want to start gathering some of the medical records. Who are the doctors that your loved one's going to? Any specialists, right? What do we need to know? What are the ailments or other diagnoses that your loved one has? You need to know this because you need to make some informed decisions about things, or help them make informed decisions. And a little tip: if your loved one is using a medical facility that has a patient portal, that can be really helpful for you, especially if they're going to the doctors on their own, and you can kind of double check and see, oh, how did that go? Because the doctor types all the notes in there, right? Medications and when they should or shouldn't be taken are all typed in there. So that could be a really valuable place, especially when you're first starting out as a caregiver, to collect some information and find out what's happening. So remember, we're collecting this information to benefit our loved one, not to check things out for ourselves, not to, check those financials to see, what is the estate going to be and what am I going to be making out of this. This is about helping and caring for our loved one. Okay. So I hope these 5 documents, or these 5 areas to start to look, can help you sort of gather together information that will be helpful and help you feel a bit more grounded in making some decisions for your loved one. Again, if you think this conversation might be a little tricky, go and find my video about having hard conversations. Thanks for tuning in today.